Welcome to the Ages of Rock podcast with your hosts Bill Algie, Dennis Talbot, and Alan Tate. We are three guys who have one thing in common, a love of rock and roll. Our goal is to talk about all things rock. We hope you find this show intriguing, funny, and occasionally highly opinionated. Enjoy!
Welcome back to the Age of Rock podcast. It's Bill, Dennis, and Alan coming to you with episode number 242. That's a big number.
Big number.
It's crazy, man.
Big
All right. Tonight, I did a little solo project because the other guys were busy.
Is that what you're calling it now?
Hey. Don't go there with me.
That's what she said.
Okay, fine. All right. So I got the chance to sit down with Ricky Warwick from The Almighty and from Black Star Riders, and talking about his new solo project, which is called When Life Was Hard and Fast. Great record. We got a little preview of it, which is awesome when that happens. But the record comes out February 19th of 2021. But 2021 seems like a long time away, but it's not.
It's like 2.5 weeks.
I know. It's like, I remember thinking back, that's forever, right? Anyway, we had a great chat, and we'll get to that in just a few minutes, but we're going to spend our time here with a little any music news,
bullshit
going on out there. Anything going on that we know of?
Well, there's something that went on this week.
There's something that went on.
It was interesting. Now, this is the way I think that it went. Ooh. So there was this big party going on with a bunch of really famous people going on. So Stevie Nicks comes out in the middle of the room and she says, "You know what? I'm not making any money right now, so I think I'm going to sell off all my rights to all my music for
She only sold 80%.
Well, 80%. But I sold a great deal and made $100 million. Well, everybody was looking around, and all of a sudden Bob Dylan goes, "Hey,
yeah, me too."
He goes, "Hold my beer." $300 million worth.
I heard on the news last night it was like $700 million.
Well, I heard 300.
Does it matter?
It is a buttload of music.
I think that she probably was more wise in the deal that she made, not for how much she got, but that she did the 80-20, because when they license Go Your Own Way or Dreams or whichever songs that she's got publishing on, she's still going to get paid.
Right. I think though those won't. I bet you that was
% of his.
Right.
So anytime his music gets sold or played in a movie or in a commercial or whatever, he ain't gonna see squat. Not that I'm 700 or 300 million makes a difference.
He's got a ginormous check that says "Don't give a shit."
Right.
But I was thinking
75.
Right, and I was thinking about this too, though. If she only sold 80% of her stuff, you got to figure this too. I'm sure that most of the stuff, the Fleetwood Mac was writing credits along with her husband at the time, or boyfriend. You know what I'm saying? What's been
her and Lindsay?
Lindsay Buckingham. So I'm sure she co-wrote a lot of those songs. I don't think does she have any single credits on the Fleetwood Mac song?
I have no idea.
I don't know. So I'm sure it's mostly her solo stuff, because I'm sure that thing with Don Henley, I'm sure that was a co-write. Leather and Lace or whatever. So I imagine it was like Edge of 17 and songs like that she probably sold. But she made a good chunk of change off that too. So I just thought about that today. I was like going, she's all excited about it, and he's like, "Hold my beer." I can't do it real good.
A lot of money. There's a lot of $100 million. I don't think she cares. Like, I got $100 million. Which is the point. So
the difference between 300 million and 100 million to me would be like, I don't know. I can't spend either.
Shit. Give me 300,000, I'd be happy.
I know.
$300. $300. Yeah. I'll take $300.
I'll take $300.
I'm not. Whatever.
And the thing is, these people, like I said, they're both getting up there in age. And they've got a ton of money. It's like, why not? Just get
going. Yeah, it's really a pretty good idea. Actually,
now it'd be interesting to see how many Bob Dylan songs we're going to be hearing in commercials and Everything else, and we get inundated.
If I never hear another Bob Dylan song, that's okay.
I'm not a big fan.
When that came on the news last night, that's the first thing I told Laura. I said,
who cares?
He's going to be in erectile dysfunction commercials and heart medicine commercials and probably diarrhea commercials.
Yeah.
Wow.
But and really, what my biggest point to Laura is whether they spent $300 million to buy his catalog or whether they spent $700 million, how long do you think it's going to take them to recoup what they spent?
I think forever.
And that's what I told Laura. I said I honestly
don't
think they're going to recoup their money as quickly as they thought they were going to.
I don't think they ever will. So there you go.
I guess they just figured his catalog was so vast anyway, and I don't know how many songs there was.
Yeah, but I don't know.
But like you said, you'd have to just basically just hooker that stuff out. I mean, everything. You'd be like selling it for
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't see it. So, any album acquisitions tonight?
0 for me. 0. I got one on the way, but that's it. And
Goose Egg, look over here.
Hey, finally, we all have something in common on album acquisition time.
Got nothing. I got a stack I got a stack over to listen to, but I don't have anything.
I did order one from a previous guest, Donnie B. I got a.
Oh yeah, cool.
I saw you had posted about that.
Yeah.
Well, if you haven't had a chance to listen to this Ricky Warwick album, you should do that because I think you might like that too.
I want to hear that.
It's good stuff. All right, man. You ready? Is
that it?
Here we go. All right. Tonight we are joined by Ricky Warwick from, Black Star Riders, who was a takeoff of Thin Lizzy and the Almighty. And now he's got his, was it 5th solo project coming out in February, right?
That's right. Yeah, it's my 5th solo record. Yeah,
that is a good record, man. I tell you, the good thing about doing these things is you get an advance on some of this stuff. Some good stuff in there, buddy.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm real proud of it. I'm excited about it. So I'm looking forward to everybody getting a chance to hear it.
How long did that take to write? Was it a long process, or is it you've had some downtime because of the COVID thing and it just kind of got you focused?
I mean, this was written long before COVID was ever coming around the bend, Alan. Most of the record was written in 2018. I write continuously, so there's always stuff on the go. It's never like I need to take a chunk of time. I got to write a record. I'm writing every day, so I've always got songs on the go. And I got together with Keith Nelson, who co-produced the record with me and co-wrote a bunch of the songs as well. And we started working on the demos in 2018. And we actually go in the studio for real April 2019, April of last year, and recorded the record then. So all done and dusted way before we knew what was coming down the road.
Yeah, it's been amazing. So how has it been for you this past year?
It's been strange, like everybody else. I think once I grasped the magnitude of what it was and the fact that I have no control over it, so there's no point really getting that upset about it. We adapted. Thankfully, my wife was able to work from home. I just retreated more into my studio. I write more. I've been using the internet a lot to do some online shows, which have been great. And I just try to be productive and positive as I can be till we get through this strange time.
Yeah, it is bizarre, that's for sure. But it's made some pretty cool stuff. I mean, I've seen a couple of different online shows that people have done, and it's really kind of cool. They get to do a little, I'm sure you did the same thing. You do some different stuff, not necessarily stuff that people would expect at every show, and which is cool. You get a chance to do something different, dig maybe a little deeper than what you would if you're doing a show. So those are pretty cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can change it up. I try to do it different. 1 month it'll be a Black Star Rider set. 1 month it'll be an Almighty set. One cover version set. I try and change it up every time I do it. I've been doing about one a month for about the past 6 months.
Cool. So what can you talk a little bit about the new record? I want to talk a little bit about Black Star Riders and stuff if we can a little bit.
Sure.
I want to focus on the new record. So what was your focus for this record? Was it just stuff that had just been flowing through, or was it you were really kind of had a project in mind?
It was just the songs and the ideas that I had cooking at that time that I wanted to get recorded, and bringing Keith on board. I was able to sort of put those ideas into motion and get his input on the songs and the ideas. And then the two of us just retreated into his studio and like I said, worked on the demos. I mean, we're both fans of, we have very similar taste in music. We're both fans of loud guitars, and we're both fans of guitars. Keith has got an incredible collection of vintage guitars. For people that don't know, Keith Nelson was a guitar player in Buckcherry for many years. So people will know Keith from his time in Buckcherry. And the two of us just, started putting the songs together, and we felt we had a record that was coherent and had a flow that we liked. Then we put a band together and set about just sending in the demos, learning the songs, and then we hit the studio for real.
Cool. So how did you come up with the title? What was the title about?
The lyrics that were written by a friend of mine called Sam Robinson, a buddy of mine back in Belfast in Ireland, and we grew up together. And he sent me the lyrics, and I saw the title, and I just went, this is incredible. This is the album title straight away. And I wrote the music for it, and it's a song about us growing up in Northern Ireland when we were kids. Before the internet, before cell phones, when you got thrown out of the house when the sun came up, and you played in the streets, and you came back home when the sun went down, and the bruises and the hard knocks, and you dreamt of being a soccer player, or you dreamt of being in a rock and roll band, or trying to escape, and just the dreams and the aspirations that we had when we were kids.
It's so much different now, isn't it? It's everybody's so sheltered, and I don't know about you, and I'm sure it's very similar to you. I'm glad we didn't have video, cell phones, and that kind of stuff.
I am too, but the world and everything changes, and that's progression, and that's the way that it is, and I get that. But man, staring at this for 17 hours a day, you see the youth doing that, and I'm just like, man, you're missing out on so much. But if we'd had that, we'd have been the same.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We'd have been as guilty as the kids are today, but we didn't. And the fact that everything we did was physical, you wanted to buy a record, you had to get in a bus and go to the store, and then you met people there and you talked about the music you love. It was all social, but it was all real. It was physical, and that's gone. And even more so with the pandemic. That's just the fact that we're doing. It's great that we can do this. Don't get me wrong. I mean, without the internet, the pandemic would have been unbearable. But I think the physicality and the social skills are lacking today than what we had when we were kids. I don't want to sound like an old fart, because that's the last thing I want to sound like. But it certainly was a golden era, I think, when we were kids, and I think that we're the last generation to ever really experience that, and that's sad.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's kind of funny. It's kind of odd. I have a 22-year-old that has moved home after college, and my wife and I we're in our living room on our phones, and he comes downstairs and he goes, "Is that all the two of you guys ever do? You just look at your phones all the time?" And it was weird because you get, and I think, to your point, I think what's changed is like work is connected to your phone now. So you're really working like all the time, right?
It's like if you don't get in the game, you lose. With me, it's social media is so important. So I don't necessarily want to be on Facebook or be on Instagram. I'm quite a private person, but I know that to get my music out there and to get people interested in what I do, I have to play that game. And so if that's what it takes, I'll do it. It's the new way of, again, when we were kids, you'd go out and you put up flyers to, for your show, to see your band, or you're doing it now. You're doing it virtually, and I'm as guilty as anybody. I'll sit and stare at my computer, and as much as the next person will. It's just we just got to that point now where technology rules. It just does.
Yeah, imagine if the COVID thing happened back in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there would have been. I don't know how bands. I mean, the communication would have been, how people communicate was so much different.
We would have got through it because people got through, 2 world wars. People got through the Spanish flu. back in 1918, 1919, and they did. They find a way. People are resourceful, but I agree with you. It's way much easier with the internet. It's I mean, the fact that I can go online and do a show and monetize it and still make an income from playing live is amazing to me. Just amazing.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
When you do that, if you're playing your own stuff, do you have to do any royalty rights or anything to anybody that's if it's on YouTube or anything? If you're doing your own stuff, is there any copyright or issues or anything? I wouldn't think so because it's yours.
None of it's my own stuff. No, and the platform that I use when I do the shows is a company called Stage It, and they're a legit company. So I actually sell tickets for the show. So it's everything like a real show without actually going to a real show. You buy a ticket up front. You can limit the amount of people that watch the show. You can interact with everybody on it, and they pay all. They pay ASCAP and BMI, all that kind of stuff. They take care of all that. So if you're doing a cover, the people that wrote that song will get their their ASCAP or BMI on that. So that's a good platform, and I've used that platform for all the shows because I just feel it's kind of as close as you're going to get to a real show without it being a real show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's it's not a bad thing at all. I definitely love live shows, man. I'm missing it big time. I mean,
of course.
The last show I saw was probably beginning of March. There's just not been anything. They've tried to do some stuff, but there just hasn't been anything. Actually, some buddies that you guys know, Ryan Cook and Phil Schaus and Jeremy Asbrock, were supposed to be just about an hour north of us on Friday, and that show got canceled. It was in a club, small club kind of thing, and but it's hard to get to get places.
I'm missing it like hell. But I have no desire to get back out there until it's safe and it's some kind of normality, until everybody feels comfortable being in that club or being in that venue. I'll wait. I'm okay to wait it out because I just feel that, I don't know. I feel that's what I need to do. That we all feel good and we all feel good about going to a show, because again, it's down to, the rock and roll show it's there. It's the physicality of it. It's being in the crowd, it's it's being close to people that love the same music that you love, and spaced out and table of chairs. I get it. People are craving and need to do something, but I'd rather wait until we're in a good place.
Yeah, personally. I as an artist, you feed off of the crowd for sure, and that's gonna that spacing would be a challenge, but even in the crowd, you're feeding off the people you're sitting next to. And the emotion that everybody has during a variety of songs and that kind of stuff, it's that physicality is really important for a live show as well. So, but it's great that you guys have the forum, all of you guys have the forum to do what you've been doing, which is putting some stuff out via YouTube and live shows and things like that we can, because I think we need that. We miss that as much as you guys do. As much as you guys miss playing it, we miss. Well,
I understand that from being a fan as well. I've got a foot in both camps there. I mean, I'm obviously an artist, but at the end of the day, I'm ultimately a fan. So, I mean, I'm the same. I miss going to shows big time.
Who were your influences?
Oh man, I mean, where do you begin with that? Everything from Patsy Cline to Slayer and everything in between. I love a lot of soul music. I love a lot of Motown. I love a lot of Northern Soul. I love a lot of Stax stuff. Huge fan of all that stuff. Obviously, I love hard rock, metal, punk rock. If it's got a soul and a heartbeat, I'll dig it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I worked in a record store for a period of time, and very interesting. The guy that owned the store would not let you play anything but jazz.
Really?
So it was really cool. I was 21 years old, and really, some new age stuff too, but really, I listened to a lot of stuff that at 21, I would have never, have went and picked up anywhere, but it opened,
absolutely.
It opened me up, made me listen to different things.
Being Irish, being brought up in that culture, obviously a lot of traditional Irish folk music is in the DNA as well. I love music, and I think if it's played from the heart, I'll like it. I mean, if I feel it is real and people mean it, and it's got some, it's got some earth to it and some soul. I'm all about it.
Yeah, that's cool. What is the single that's been released, if I'm not wrong, is "Fighting Heart"? Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, which is a great song.
Thank you.
That. I love it.
Thank you.
Video is really good. Watch the video.
Thank you.
So hopefully everybody will get to check that out. We're going to post that. We'll post a link to that too on our website too. You did a live, I guess a live studio version of that sort of for the video.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that what you normally do for videos, or do you?
Yeah. You're just playing to playback. You're playing to the single, and you're, for all intents and purposes, you're miming. So yeah.
Yeah. Have you done? Have you ever done any concept type videos of any type, or is that basically just?
Yeah, I mean, in my career, been doing this almost over 30 years. I mean, with all the bands I've been in, we've done so many videos, over that moment of time, and it's something I never really enjoyed doing until quite recently, and I actually got into the more visual aspect of it, and I think maybe that's come along with YouTube and just the access to videos now is so easy, and everybody has to have one. But yeah, we've done a couple with older bands where they've been kind of conceptual and stuff like that. We actually did one for Black Star Riders. We did an animation one for one of the tracks off the last record, which is really cool. It's the first time we've done an animation video, and that was a lot of fun to be involved in that.
Yeah, we had Damon Johnson on the show.
Damon Johnson.
Yeah,
there's a name.
Yeah, a couple of years ago.
I'll give him a slap from me, man.
He was really cool. That was when we first kind of got turned on to Black Star Riders. That is some great music. Absolutely great music.
Damon is my bro, and I love him dearly. And man, he's a fine, upstanding human being, a hell of a guitar player, and nothing but the best for Damon. I mean, I love the guy to death.
Cool. Have you do you guys stay in contact pretty much? Is there any work that you guys are going to be doing anytime?
Well, when Damon left Black Star Riders, him and I were obviously very tight because we were the main songwriters in the band, and I knew he was going to leave. It wasn't a surprise to me, and I completely, his reasons were completely, what's the word? I mean, the validation I didn't need. He wanted to spend more time with his family. He wanted to tour on his own terms. Damon's a front He was a front man in Brother Kane, and he wanted to get back out there in front of the mic. I totally get that. So complete, has 100% blessings as far as we're concerned. But, saying that, you just know it's like, I'm not going to be seeing you as much. I'm not going to be talking to you as much, even though we're still best friends. You just aren't, because you're not working together anymore in that environment, in that band. And I'll still hear from Damon every couple of weeks, and we'll still talk and send each other stupid jokes or whatever, or what are you up to and stuff like that. We did have the thing going where we did a lot of shows under the name of Warwick Johnson, where we just go out with two acoustic guitars, the two of us, and play anything and everything. If we do some Alice Cooper songs, some Almighty songs, Brother Kane, Lizzie, Black Star Rider, just whatever we felt like playing, and that was a lot of fun. And I mean, I'm sure down the road I will work with Damon again. I mean, that's a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, that'd have been awesome to see an acoustic set with the two of you. That would have been.
We've only really done a few stateside shows with that, but we've done two really big tours of Europe with just the two of us, and it's a lot of fun, because there's a little bit of banter on stage and joking around, and we'll play for sometimes 2.5 hours, and we'll just play whatever we want to play, and have a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Those are the best shows for me. When you get a group of guys that just like to play and like to be around each other, and it's just they just go, and it's kind of a free for all. Those are awesome. I've been to some shows recently with some bands that have been around a long time, and you can tell they are at the end. It's obvious they're just
I think and I think you can tell when people are phoning it in, and I think it's time to stop. It's hard to be judgmental, but I mean, if you don't mean it, and it's not coming from a good place, and you're just doing it to get the money or because you don't know what else to do, I don't know. I mean, I would have a problem. Me personally, I would have a problem setting foot on that stage. It's time to do something else. you know. And people go, well, I don't know what else to do. Well, then you should be more into what you're doing and the gift that you have. You should be doing it till you physically can't. I mean, that's the way I look at it. I mean, I look at somebody like, you know, Scott Gorham that's in Black Star Riders, and Scott's turning 70 next year. He's still out there. He's still getting on the tour bus. He's still kicking out the jams and still playing like his life depends upon it, and still has a passion in his eyes and a fire in his heart. And, you know, that's inspiring.
Yeah. And, you know Alice Cooper's got a new record coming out.
Coop's the same, you know. Springsteen's the finest example of all. I mean, that just unbelievable. There's a man that doesn't need to work a day in his life again, probably hasn't for the last 30 years, but is inspired because of the love of his music and the gift that he's been given to do that. And I think that should never be taken for granted, you know. Ever.
Absolutely. Let's go back to the record for a few minutes. Talk about the cover, because I was looking at the cover and it looks like a little bit of a car wreck.
It is.
But it's a really cool cover. I like that it looks old.
Thank you.
And weathered, and it's pretty cool. So talk a little bit about the cover.
So there was a race back in Ireland that ran from the mid-20s to the mid-30s, and it was called the ARDS, ARDS, the ARDS TT circuit race. And it was huge. You're talking about 300,000 people watching this race every year. And you had the best racing drivers of the day. So you had a guy called Novellari, who's an Italian. He drove one of the first Ferraris. And you see the cars on the cover. They're like fucking go-karts. There's no protection. These guys were, every time these guys, and this was a road race. So this was on the old roads, you know, twisty roads around the Glens of Ireland. That shot on the front cover, where you see the wreck and you see the people standing watching on the embankment, I think it's from about 1930. I checked it. I think it's from about 1933. That field that those people are standing watching that wreck on is my great-grandfather's farm.
Oh, wow. That's really cool.
Which was my grandfather's farm, which was my father's farm, which was the farm I was born on and grew up on as a kid in Ireland. That's the actual field that was part of the circuit. And my great-grandfather used to rent out the field to the spectators to watch the race. So there's a huge personal family connection. I remember my dad telling me, my dad would have been maybe 5-6 years old when the races were going on. I remember him telling me when I was little about this race, you know, and I became fascinated by it. So I went and archived and got all these photographs from back in the day. And so there's a huge connection to my family, to the Warwick family, to that actual race. And when we came up with the whole album title, well, Life Was Hard and Fast and everything, I just thought, this is it. This is the chance I've been waiting for, to tie all this together. And that's the whole history behind the cover. So it's pretty rad.
Yeah, it's a really cool cover for sure.
Thank you.
And the album title, you know, which is the lead song, which is the first song on the record. I'm one of those guys that for me, if the first song doesn't do it, I'm done. I don't go to number two.
Sure. Well, why would you? You know, I think you're setting your stall out. You know, you want to bring the people in.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to, you know, so you want to bring them in to see the rest of the show, right? Same with the album, you want to bring them in to hear the rest of the album. And I'm a firm believer in that. You got to catch them straight away and bring them in, entice them. And then you can maybe song 5 or 6 hit them with a bit of a weird vibe or something different, but you've already got them at that point, you know?
Yep. So great opener.
Thank you.
Right out of the gate. And actually, you know, thinking back, all the Black Star Rider things were the exact, you know, albums were the same way. I mean, very right in your face, right at the beginning. And it really does hook you in and makes you want to listen to the next one and the next one and the next one.
Yep.
Talk about, I've always been curious about how you sequence a record. What were your thoughts about sequencing this record? Was there anything particular or?
It's a great question. You know, nowadays, a lot of people want to sequence it with the first 3 or 4 tracks that are the singles or the lead-off tracks. So they'll put those 1, 2, 3, or 4. Whereas obviously before, back in our day, you know, the album, because, you know, people's attention span isn't what it is. And a lot of people just won't sit down and you know, pour themselves a drink and give themselves 45 minutes to listen to the full album. But, you know, with this album, I was like, fuck that. I'm going to go back and sequence this exactly how it should be, how I would listen to it if it was you put it on and you sit down and you just, like you said, strong first song, bring them in, then, you know, hit them with another sucker punch for song 2. And then, you know, pace the thing and keep it interesting and give them the ebbs and the flows. And we end with a song like "You're My Rock and Roll," which is quite towards the end. It's quite an anthemic fist in the air song, and a lot of people are going, that should be higher up. I'm like, no, we've got to the end of this. Let's give them a big fist in the air anthem at the end. And so I very much sequenced it like an old school, record is. You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
Yeah, and a show, right? So it's kind of, it sounds to me like you describe it how you would do, a show. Yeah. You don't, you don't end the show typically on the worst song on the record.
No, or you wouldn't necessarily end it on a ballad. Some people do, but no, you want to go out with a bang, and I think you want to leave people wanting more. So,
yeah, how long did it take you to write the record? Was it a long period of time?
No, I mean, like I said, I write all the time, so there's always stuff in the pile, and it's just a matter of going in and going what fits and what the vibe is right, and finishing the ideas. So it's never. To me, it's never like I write one record and move on to the next. It's just always this mountain of songs and ideas that I have, and it's just a matter of going in and pulling those ideas out and seeing what fits at that time.
Cool. Well, I noticed something on your merch page that this record's going to have a cassette as well. Is that right?
It is, yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, I've started collecting vinyl again. My vinyl collection is now far reached what I had back in the day. At one point when I was converted over to CDs, I sold painfully a pretty good collection, and so I've had to repurchase all of it at much higher prices than what I bought them for originally. Sure. But I really enjoy them, and it's great. So it's good to see vinyl. But it was cool to see a cassette. I haven't seen a new cassette for quite a while.
Yeah, then we were given that option. And, our management came and said, you want to do a cassette? And I was like, yeah, why not? I mean, I'm old enough to remember buying them religiously. And so I think a lot of people out there that are buying my music will remember those days. And, if they don't ever play it, it's a cool little novelty item to have. It's, it's just something a little bit different. And I just was like, why not? Let's do a few hundred and see how they go. And they've been pretty popular, believe it or not.
That's pretty cool. Very cool. Yeah. Is it more popular in the U.S.? I mean, or over in Europe, or doesn't matter? No, I mean, across the board, I think, people of our generation, remember buying the cassettes, and I think they're the ones that looking for the nostalgia. I mean, I'm like you, vinyl is definitely making a huge comeback. I'm the same. I'm buying vinyl again, like there's no tomorrow, which I love. Even my youngest daughter, she's 13. She wants a record player for Christmas, which is just brilliant. It's just, I'm so thrilled that she wants that. And she handed us a list, and it's a list of all the vinyl she wants for Christmas for this record player. And I'm just like, this is just great, because it's still, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, Alan, it's still the best way to listen to music. Absolutely.
And, I mean, audio wise, and the whole physical side of it, of putting the record on, reading the sleeve notes, sitting back, reading the sleeve notes, and just, sucking it all in. It's just can't be beat. And I'm just so glad that it's, that more and more people are starting to realize that you cannot replace it. Digital's fine, and digital's handy, and it's convenient, and don't get me wrong. I mean, there's nothing better than being in a party and going click and putting a song on your phone without waking up the next morning and there's the mountain of empty sleeves with the records lying all over the floor. You've got to try and find which ones go where. I get it, but visual for audio, I don't think you can beat vinyl. Personally,
pouring a beer, you don't want a beer poured on your vinyl. That's not good. But you can usually keep your phone in your pocket whenever you're in that party. So that's pretty safe. But I agree. Yeah. I mean, it's I didn't use my record player for years. It was tucked away in a box. At the time, my 15-year-old was in his room, and it was in a box in his closet, and he'd gotten it out, and he goes, "What is this?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm a bad parent. You don't know what this is." Yeah. So we put it together. I had my turntable and receiver, and put it together. And one of the albums I had left was AC/DC's Back in Black for my original albums, and put it on. And it sounded so good. I cranked it up, and he goes, "It sounds all poppy and cracky." I said, "Shut up and just listen." I was like, But then I made him listen to it on his iPod, and he's like, "Oh, it does sound different." I said, "Yeah, to me, vinyl sounds bigger. It's full.
Yeah, it sounds bigger, and there's a warmth in the sonic quality of it that digital just doesn't have." Yeah, and I think when you sort of do compare the two, you can tell the difference.
Yeah. I had the chance to meet Gene Simmons one time, and I took a vinyl for him to sign, and or a buddy of mine took a vinyl for him to sign, and he said, "What are you guys doing with that?" And he goes, "Well, we collect vinyl." And he goes, "No, you collect the emotion."
Wow.
With the vinyl, I'm like, damn, he's really good.
That's great.
Because he's right. It's really the vinyl that where you came from is really about that. It was really pretty cool. But awesome. It's very interesting. So is the Fighting Heart singles released, correct?
Fighting Heart single is already out. The next track is a track, You Don't Love Me, and the video and single that comes out this Friday, December 4th.
Oh, okay, cool. Right around the corner.
So a new video for that, and that single will be available to get hold of as well.
All right. How about airplay? Or what are you doing for airplay and getting records out right now?
People working at the label. I get a lot of airplay over in Europe and the UK. Obviously thanks a lot to Black Star Riders and the connection there. But yeah, just trying to work it, trying to get it on as many radio stations as we can.
Yeah, we have some internet radio stations too that over here that some of us are involved in periodically. We'll try to get some of that stuff on there too.
I would absolutely appreciate that.
It'd be kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, that'd be great. Let's see. Anything else that you want to bring up about the record at the moment?
I mean, no, I think that's it. February 19th, the album's out. I'm so proud of it. It's, if you love rock and roll and hard rock and roll, check it out. I don't think you'll be disappointed. It's anthemic rock and roll with light guitars, and I think it's a good sounding record. Like I said, I'm very proud of it.
Yeah, you should be. It's a really good record.
Thank you.
You will not be disappointed if you don't listen to it. Then that's your problem, man. You're missing out. That's the deal. You're just missing out.
Yep. You snooze, you lose. Right?
You snooze, you lose. All right, Ricky, you want to, where can people find your stuff?
It's everywhere. It's everywhere it should be. It's up obviously online, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, all those places. RickyWarwick.com has got all the links. If you go to RickyWarwick.com, click on the album links, you can see there's 3 different colored vinyls we're putting out of the album. There's a cassette that you mentioned, Alan. There's digipacks. There's, all kinds of goodies. There's tons of merch. It's pretty impressive with the stuff. The label's been great. Putting together a lot of different variations on the album. So RickyWarwick.com, links are there to everywhere else you need to go.
Thank God for the internet, right?
Amen.
All right, hang around for just a second. Thank you guys very much for joining us tonight, and we will see you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Ages of Rock podcast. If you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, and most importantly, tell all your friends. Remember, you're never too old to rock. Until the next episode, peace out, folks.